Hello and welcome to another of Northgate Arinzo's and Reality's Coffee Break series videos. In today's video we're going to be exploring a capability inbuilt into Reality called Fast Backup. Fast Backup enables us to take a backup and indeed, if necessary, restore your database at near media speed. So what does this really mean? Well, it should be at least 30 times quicker than a traditional file save used in most PIC implementations today. It also uses a checkpointing capability, which means that we can now take a backup while the system is in use, and only the data which is written to the database at the time you press return to instigate the save is what's written to the backup. Therefore, we get a clean backup at a known point in time. Further, should you have to restore the database from a fast backup, the restore time should be identical to the amount of time it took to do the backup. So if your fast backup takes 5 minutes to back it up, a restore should also take 5 minutes to restore it, subject to you using similar or the same hardware. Lastly, it supports what we call an encrypted save. So using Reality's encryption capabilities, you can create a completely encrypted save so it's safe to take that off-site and not have to worry about the loss of that data. So let's take a look at some real examples. An example of one of our clients, they regularly save 100 gigabyte of data and their fast backup is now taken in less than 5 minutes. And similarly, if they would ever have to restore that 100 gigabyte of data, it's going to also take them less than 5 minutes to do that. In another example, working with another client, this traditional file save was taking around 2 hours to do. And that's now down to 6 minutes using Reality's fast backup capabilities. So you can see that there are some real benefits to switching from a traditional file save to a fast backup. So let's now show you how to take a fast backup of a Reality database. So here we are at TCL inside our database in the Sysman account. So the first thing I'm going to do is define my tape device, and I'm going to actually send my tape device to a file. Now to take a fast backup, what we're going to use is the verb called save-image. It's going to ask me for a tape unit number. In this case we define tape unit number 1. Going to ask me for a density. I'm just going to accept the defaults, and similarly with the block size also. And then it'll also ask me for a tape label. Again, I'm just going to accept the default for today's purposes. Now it's also going to ask me for a checkpoint file. Now this is an area of disk it's going to use to save any blocks which change during the save, i.e. while users are updating the database at the same time. Typically you'll just use the free space table, so I'm just going to press carriage return for today's example. Then it's going to ask me one last question, which is, do I want to force the save to go to sleep until 3 AM? I'm going to say no, as I want to immediately do the save, and now it's starting the save. Now as it started the save, it physically temporarily froze the database to ensure it was consistent and to allow that snapshot to be taken. Then as the save proceeds, each time a block in the database is changed by a user, the original data is copied to the checkpointing area, and the data that is backed up is basically a mixture of unchanged data from the database and from that checkpoint area. Therefore, the backup accurately reflects the state of the database at the time the backup was started. So our database backup is finished. In this case it took us just 34 seconds. Now this is a relatively small database just for today's purpose, but you can see how quick that save actually took. And that's fast backup from the TCL environment. Now there is an alternative way of taking a fast backup, and this might be useful, for instance, if you're on a Windows or a Unix environment and you want to automate the save from an external environment. So for instance, if you're on Unix you could do it from a cron job, or if you're on Windows you could be using a task scheduler. So let's now explore how we would do it from outside of the database. So here we are at Windows command prompt, and we're going to use the external utility to also take our fast backup. And we'll use the same file name we created, the mdf.rti. So the utility we're going to use is something called real dump. We're going to specify the path to our file. And then lastly, we're going to specify the name of our database. And that's now going to take the same backup as before. So you can see it's now doing exactly the same as it was from TCL. It's taken our backup and it should report by the end that it's complete. So let's just let that finish, and then we'll explore then about how we do a restore of our database using the equivalent capabilities. Okay, so we've created our backup. Now let's pretend that our database has crashed in some way, so we need to restore it. Okay, so to do the restore, we're going to use a utility called real-load. So we type in real-load -t and the name to our backup path and to our backup file, and then the name of our database again. And this is the database we're going to overwrite. Now it's going to ask me, do I really want to overwrite this database? So I'm going to say yes, and then it's going to go off and read the tape. And it's going to come back and say, do I wish to continue? It's giving you another option to say, no, I've got the wrong tape. I have got the right tape, so I'm going to say yes. Now it's doing that restore, and you can see by the way the percentage is going up that it's a very similar type of time to the backup. So we should see this complete in around 30 seconds. Once this is complete, we'll then do exactly the same from TCL. So we'll go into our database and do the restore from inside our database. Okay, so it took us 30 seconds to restore our database, which is a very similar time to how long it took to do the backup. Now, the final part of the video now is really to show you how we would do a restore from inside the database. So let's log on to our database, and we'll show the same capability from inside it. So to do the restore, we first need to select our tape drive. So we're going to do that tDevice to our backup, and then we're going to use load-image. That's going to ask us for our tape unit number. We're going to use 1, which we previously defined. It's then going to come up and give me the same warning as the real load utility. Basically, are you sure you want to do this? So I'm going to answer yes. It's then going to read the tape, present me back with a tape label, and ask me whether I want to still continue or not. So I'm going to say yes again. And now it's going to restore the database, but from within TCL. So again, we should start to see that that percentage count goes up, and the restore will complete in around the same type of time. And that's really all there is to Reality's fast backup capability, and indeed the restore of that backup should you need to. Don't forget, as previously mentioned at the beginning of the video, all of these saves that we've done could have been to an encrypted tape drive, in which case the entire save would also have been encrypted. So just let this finish. And that's it. So it took a little bit longer from TCL, but you can see the same capabilities and how quick we can recover a database from a fast backup. So it just remains for me to say thank you for watching the video. I hope it's been of interest to you, and please join us in further videos as we explore other capabilities of Reality. Thank you.